In this video, we will be looking at finding the roots of a quadratic equation using the quadratic formula. So some of you may be familiar with the quadratic formula, some of you may have never heard it before, but today we're going to find out everything you need about it. So the quadratic formula, like I said, is used to find the roots of a quadratic equation. All this means is solving it when it equals 0, so something you've definitely seen before. The quadratic formula has one main benefit, and it is used when the quadratic cannot be factorised. So we will see a couple examples of this today, and I will put them both side by side. So first of all, what is the quadratic formula? So this is the general form of a quadratic equation. ax squared plus bx plus c. And I've highlighted them and colour-coded them so it makes it stand out a lot easier. And this is the quadratic formula. Again, you may look at this and think it looks really terrifying, and you'll never ever remember that ever. But if you say it a couple times to yourself in your head, you'll be surprised how quickly you remember this. This is the one equation that a lot of people that did GCSEs will remember for a long time. So let's have a quick look at how we can use it. So here is a common, fairly simple quadratic equation, and we are asked to solve it. Now, an equation like this, we've got two ways of solving it. We can either factorise it, or we can use the formula. Factorising it, well, we think we need two numbers that multiply together to make our 6, and add together to make the 5. Now, through practice, you can sit and try and work this out if you want, but just to speed things up a bit, the result of this is going to be x plus 2, x plus 3 equals 0. So our final answers are going to be x equals minus 2 and x equals minus 3. If you aren't too sure on that, I've made plenty of videos on solving quadratics and factorising double brackets, so that you can go and watch them if you're not quite sure what I've just done. So, you can see this method is fairly simple, doesn't take a lot of time. However, it's okay when it can be factorised as easily as this. Let's say it can't be factorised, we're a little bit stuck, and we want to use the quadratic formula. So, like I said before, the a is the coefficient of the x squared term. In this case, our a is just 1. Our b is going to be 5 here, and our c is going to be 6. Now, if we rewrite our quadratic formula, which I recommend doing whenever you get a question like this, so minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now, if we substitute our numbers in, so x equals minus, we know b is 5, so minus 5 plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is 25, minus 4ac, so that is minus 24. And then divide that by 2a, so a is 1, so that is just 2. So, simplifying this down a little bit, we have x equals minus 5 plus or minus, now the square root of 25 minus 24, that makes 1. So the square root of 1 makes 1, and then over 2. So this is going to give us two solutions, one when it is a plus and one when it is a minus. So let's say x plus first. So minus 5 plus 1 is minus 4. Divide that by 2 gives us minus 2. Now x minus is going to equal minus 5 minus 1, which is minus 6. Divide that by 2. And we get our two solutions. And you can see these are exactly the same as these two. So it works exactly the same way, just a little bit more complicated when you cannot factorise it. So let's look at another example that is purely only possible through the quadratic formula. Now again, this is our a value, this is our b value, and this is our c value. Notice this is a negative 6 this time, so our c is going to be negative 6, whereas the others are both positive. So again, if we write out our formula, minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And again, all we do, sub those numbers in. Minus 3 plus or minus the square root of b squared is 9, 3 squared, minus 4 multiplied by a, which is 2, multiplied by minus 6. Now we will come back to that one in a minute. All over 2 And a this time is 2, so it's going to be 2 times 2 to give us 4. So, just a little bit of simplifying again. We have minus 3 plus or minus. Now, the inside of our square root, we're going to have 9 minus 4 multiplied by 2 is 8. Multiplied by minus 6 is minus 48. All over 4. So be really careful with the negatives inside the square root. Minus 3 plus or minus. The square root of 9. Double negative makes a positive. So plus 48 will give us 57 all over 4. Now, normally, the reason you can't factorise something is because the answers aren't going to be very nice to deal with. And this is an example of that. You can see the square root of 57 isn't a whole number, so we can't just square root it. It has to stay as a surd. So again, we've got our x positive and our x negative. So our two solutions, we can simply write minus 3 plus the square root of 57 over 4, and minus 3 minus the square root of 57 over 4. And they are our two roots to our equation. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope that helped.